Hello, everybody. This is my first time at Digital Dragons, and I'm so excited, and I'm absolutely loving it. And this is actually the first time I've ever done this talk, so you're all getting first-hand glimpse. If anything goes wrong, you saw it here first. So, yeah, so artist workflow level up. So thanks for joining me. I know it's towards the end of the day. It's really great to see so many of you here to hear more about the Unity artist workflows. So just before I dive into it, I'm Liz. I'm a technical evangelist at Unity for Europe, Middle East and Africa. And my job is to come to super cool events like this and talk to super cool developers like you about what we're doing and how we can help you make what you want to make in the easiest way possible. So it's a great job, and I'm really pleased to be here. So the agenda for today is we're going to go through creating a level straight from whiteboxing it out in ProBuilder. Have any of you heard of ProBuilder? Show of hands. Cool, great, that's awesome. And then we're going to be exporting that and taking it into Maya using our digital content creation round tripping tool, which is on the asset store. How many of you have heard of that? Yeah, exactly. I'm so surprised that no one's heard about this. I'm so pleased you're all going to learn something. So we're going to round trip that, export it out of Maya, take it back into Unity, and we're going to use shader graph to... I'd be really worried if you were in here and not heard of Unity. And we're going to use shader graph to finish it off, polish it up, make it look pretty. So I have half an hour. This is the first time I've done this talk. Let's see if we can do it. We can. So you all know what ProBuilder is. There was a big show of hands. So Carl and Gabriel, who were originally part of let's start that again. Carl and Gabriel were originally part of Procore. So they created ProBuilder, ProGrids, which we're going to see in today's presentation, and also Polybrush. So they are 3D modeling and level design tools, and a lot of studios are using these to prototype, but also games such as Super Hot and Manifold Garden, like seen here, have actually used it to create a full game in production. So lots of different uses for it, but today I'm going to be using it to whitebox. So the round tripping tool then, that I'm always surprised not many people know about, but it's good because you're learning something, that's why we're here, yay, is we have a collaboration with Autodesk, and what they kindly did was exposed the code of the FBX Fun and Games to us. So we were able to create with them a FBX exporter and like round tripping tool. And basically what that does is it creates a live link between Unity and Maya or Max so that you can export your models to Maya, iterate, and then they automatically update in Unity. So it's just a lot easier workflow instead of having to export and import, see how it looks in editor, reload the models. It's just a live link that automatically updates, and it's just a quicker workflow. So I'll show you how to set that up later. And then finally, shader graph. Which is one of my favorites. Like, I get to do a lot of cool stuff at Unity, but shader graph has definitely been one of my favorite tools to play with. So what I'm going to do is just show you how complex a shader graph can look, but I'm going to go straight back to basics, and we're just going to build up a simple shader together. And what fits in nicely to this is Package Manager. Who's heard of Package Manager? Sometimes we call it Pac-Man. I'm really pleased to see the show of hands. So Package Manager has been around since Unity 2017, but actually we've just introduced a UI that makes it a lot easier for you to import Unity packages into your project. And this just means that we're like modularizing Unity. We're making it easier for you to just have Unity have what you need, make it lighter. And shader graph and ProBuilder are accessed through Package Manager. So again, I'll show you where you can find that and how you can use it. So now, if you've not heard of any of those things, the agenda should now be crystal clear. And now for the fun. Okay, so who has been using Unity since like version 3? Yeah, So do you remember Angry Bots? Yeah, so this is Angry Bots 2 that the content team have been working on. And so this is what I'm going to be using for the demo at the moment. I actually can't give any, because I don't know, as when this project is going to be made public, but I'm sure once it is, I'll be tweeting about it. So let me just play this, get it started. So this scene here of Angry Bots is, I forgot how to shoot. Oh my gosh, get that spider bot. So this level has been whiteboxed using ProBuilder, and then we've brought in the actual real world, the actual final art assets. And a lot of the objects in the scene, like this hologram that you can see here, and also the holograms on these screens here, as well as the neon lighting, have all been created. Oh my. I told you you'd see it here first, right, if something went wrong. Look at him, blessed. Have all been created using shader graph. So let's pretend that didn't happen. Cut that out the video. So first things first then. So I have this level built up. It's pretty large. And so say we've got this workflow going and someone comes in and goes, we need to extend this. And I want it done quickly, and it has to be the same scale, it has to be positioned like this, it has to be to this spec. I'm sure many of you in here have heard this story. So what we actually found is a lot of studios are using ProBuilder to whitebox, and they were using it before it became part of Unity. So I'm going to be doing a talk with Jonathan from CoatSync, art level designer from CoatSync, about that sort of process at Unite. So it's really cool to see that studios are using it in this way. For the fact that we only have half an hour and I've been babbling on for 10 minutes already, here's one I created earlier, but actually I didn't create this. The content evangelist Andy Touch did, but he'd be angry if I took all the credit. So what we've got here is a white box area that leads on from the other areas that we have. And we've got, ooh, this mouse is very sensitive. We've got geometry here, such as this circular area, where when we have in our final art, there's going to be sort of details to the level. We have a conveyor belt area. We have doors. This cylinder at the back here is going to be our computer terminal. Everything's to the scale and proportions that we kind of need to suit the rest of the level, right? And this has all been done using ProBuilder. So ProBuilder you can get from Package Manager, so from Window Package Manager, and it just looks like this. So this is all the packages that I have in my project at the moment, including ProBuilder, and all the ones that are available. And so these are all Unity packages. I often get I often get asked if we're going to be supporting external packages too, and the team have said it's on the horizon, and that's it. That's as vocal as they get. So at the moment, all Unity all Unity packages you can access from Package Manager. So ProBuilder's in here. Once you have it installed, you can go to Tools, and as I said, as part of their suite, they have Polybrush and ProGrids, and you can open the ProBuilder window. I'm just going to dock it here. And then you can also, a lot of people like to use icon mode, but it just confuses the hell out of me, so I just like to use text mode. And if you've used 3D software packages before, you'll see a lot of things that are very similar, like this bevel and extruding edges, subdividing edges. So what I'm going to do is super simple. There's so much that you can do with ProBuilder, but I'm just going to show you a couple of cool tips. So first thing, let's say in our level we want to create a ramp for our character to walk up. I can create a new shape. A lot of people are excited about the fact that you can just create stairs off the bat. That's quite exciting. I'm just going to make a cube. I'm just going to build it. And then with my object view selected, so there's object, vertex, edge, and then new faces. Again, as you would expect from 3D software packages. With my object selected, I'm just going to roughly line this up around here, just where I'd like my ramp to be. Is that about right? I'm going to go to face mode. And then I can literally just drag out to extrude it, like this. Switch to edge mode. Oh my. Like this. And just move that up and around. And then just like really quickly, simply, easily, just block in this ramp here. And then also, like I said, there'll be operations that you're very familiar with if you've done 3D modeling before. So if I go into vertex view, select these, I can actually collapse the vertices so we have no hidden geometry going on. And so it's just really quick and easy to be able to put that together. And it's like, even if you're just white boxing the level to get your creative intent in there, it's important to be precise. And so what they've also included in this kit is ProGrids. So you can also open the ProGrids window, and you get this little toolbar here, which allows you to put on grids. And also, there we go. It would help if I turn them on. You can turn on the grids and sort of select the axes that you'd like to snap to. And then again, if I go back into edge mode, oops, it just makes it a lot easier to be able to snap to where I want to. And you can also change the snap value too. So if you're sort of working to certain constraints, you can sort of snap to those too. So super simple, easy ramp, not rocket science, but you know, you've got to start somewhere, right? So then the next thing is, the other thing that a lot of devs find useful is polyshape. So polyshape allows you to plot the shape of the mesh that you want to create. So say I want to create a railing around this circle here so the player doesn't fall in. So I can just plot, yeah, I'm not an artist, can you tell? Oh my, this is the worst thing ever. Can you imagine like sending that to your artist and going, I want a railing like this? They'd be like, get out of town. Yes, so anyway, nice little railing going on there. There's a really cool thing called ProBuilder, which I only found out about recently. And actually, if you have just a normal game object or some simple geometry, you can put it into Unity, select it, ProBuilderize it, and it lets you use all of the ProBuilder toolset on it. So you can just iterate in Unity and build from in the editor, which I thought was super cool. So I'm just going to rename these game objects and move them in the hierarchy, because we're going to need to do this when we create the live link to Maya. And that was my ramp, wasn't it? Good, cool. White box level. Okay, so say that's our finished level, and we're like, right, this can go in and have the final artwork done now. So the round trip tool is available on the asset store, completely for free. And you can just go on, import it into your project. And once you do, if you go to your project settings, you'll see that you have this extra drop down for FBX export. This allows you to set up which 3D software package you want to integrate, which Autodesk product you want to create that live link to. By selecting the install Unity integration, I'm just going to switch to Maya. It actually gives you this Unity menu. Ooh. No? Okay. Yeah, I thought it was cool. So here is, this import and export is the menu to use to send that iteration to and from. So what I'm going to do is switch back to Unity. And with my white box level selected, I'm going to right click. And now that I have the FBX exporter in my project, I can convert this to a linked prefab instance. And that's what we need to create this live link. So I'm going to select convert. It's going to ask me where I want it to save and that kind of stuff. I'm just going to save it straight to my assets folder. It does its stuff, does its thing. And then you'll see here in the project window that I have a prefab created, and I also have an FBX. And this is going to be the FBX that has the live link. So then going back to Maya, I can file, and I can import from the fancy Unity menu, and I can pop that FBX in there. There it is, with my cronky fence and everything. So, so from here, the artists now have a white box level that's got everything positioned. It's all to the right scale. I've set the meters in I've set the working units to meters as well, so it matches Unity. So then from here, your artists can actually add those real-world assets that they want in the final product. So just to save time, and because as you've seen, I'm clearly not an artist, I actually have this. I always forget which one it is to unhide. There we go. Here. So as you can see, we've added the robot arm over that detailing there. This cylinder here is, the computer terminal. All the doorways line up. We have this conveyor belt. Let me hide that. There we go. So we now have all this finished art. Exactly how we want it. Then what we do is we take this finished art, we drag that into this Unity FBX export set, and then we go to Unity and export, and then it would do its magic. Just for the sake of the fact that I'm babbling on and time's of the essence, here's one I created earlier, although again it's not me, it's Andy Touch. So we've got all the artwork in, all looks super beautiful, and now our level is coming together perfectly. So that's stage 2 of our workflow. Stage 3 is shader graph. So is everybody aware of our new scriptable render pipelines? Show of hands if you are. Okay, cool. So in 2018.1, we introduced scriptable render pipelines. So you can take a pipeline, and we have templates now when you start up a new project. So we have a lightweight render pipeline, which is more targeted towards mobile devices. And then we have a HD render pipeline target, which is aimed towards more like high-end PC and console. And we also have an experimental VR one on there, which I actually haven't played with, to be honest. So this project is actually using the lightweight render pipeline. And at the moment, the shader graph, which we have available, which is again through Package Manager, creates shaders for the lightweight render pipeline. So all the shaders that I show you how to create today and all of the examples are all for our lightweight render pipeline. So this project, if I take a little look at it, if I look at like this robot arm maybe. So you can see here that the shader that it's using is the lightweight pipeline and this standard physically based shader. So any shader that we create using shader graph can be assigned through this drop-down as you would expect. And actually, every single shader that you create using the shader graph comes under this graphs drop-down from the shader drop-down. So here are ones that have just been made while I've been playing around. So what we've got? So we've got the hologram one, like the Unity symbol that you saw when we started the project up. So you can see here it's kind of updated with the arm. There's all sorts of crazy things in here. There's a beach ball somewhere as well. But I'm just going to put that back to its standard lightweight one. And I'm just going to take a little mosey over to this door. Because this door over here has this... Oh, is that not working? The door over here has this shader effect that's kind of like a locked door, like the old school Devil May Cry's where it had those creepy skulls going over the locked doors, kind of going for that effect. So again, so if I just select one of those slidey doors, you can see here that it's using a shader under graphs called locked door graph. So to actually open this shader graph and edit it, I'm just going to right-click on the little settings cog and edit the shader. And here it is in all its glory. And there's crazy loads of nodes, which can actually look really intimidating at first. But when we just do a shader from scratch in a second, you'll see it's actually super easy to build them up, and it won't be as daunting as it looks at the moment. The cool thing about shader graph is this constant update. So at the far right is the master node, which we'll have a little look at in a minute in more detail. But all of the effects that you're creating along this tree, along this graph, all culminate into this final master node. So it's a really nice constant visual feedback that your shader is looking how you want it to as you get towards that master node. And you can also, there's this preview menu, preview window at the bottom, and you can add your own custom mesh to that if there's something that you're particularly wanting to double check looks great. So yeah, there's loads of nodes to mess with. So I'm just going to close that for now and just totally start from scratch with something simple, just to build from the ground up. So let me just take those gizmos off. So these barrels, for example, let's say that we want to, if there is an object in our scene that's destructible and we want to make that obvious to the player, maybe we could add like a little rim effect to it or something. Yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do is, from the Create menu, there's the shader dropdown, and we can actually create a PBR graph. So you can see here that you can also create subgraphs. So at the moment, you can't like create groups on the graph. It's kind of via subgraph, but the team are working on that. And you can have unlit shaders as well. I'm going to do PBR today. I'm going to name it Rimlight Shader Graph. And then from the project window, you can just right-click to open it. So the master node is, if you've used Unity standard shader, it's totally transparent to you. It's got the albedo, it's the normal, the emission, everything that you'd expect. And again, you have this preview node at the bottom. So, I can zoom in and out, and it's Alt to move it. I only found that out recently as well, that it's Alt and left click to move the shader graph around. I was just zooming around like a mad woman. And someone in the office was like, just hold down Alt and move it. I was like, oh, okay. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is right-click to create a new node. And you can see that there's all these different categories of node that you can create. So there's for textures, there's inputs, you can create a new master node. And in fact, if you were using the scriptable render pipeline and creating your own pipeline, you will need to program a master node to output shaders for that pipeline. So it's quite important to kind of have that in mind if that's the route that you're going down. So you can also search as well. So I'm just going to search for this Fresnel effect. And you can see here that it kind of gives this rim light effect, which is what I'm after. And as you have probably seen in many other sort of visual tools like this, node-based tools, all the logic goes on in this node, and you can input certain factors that you want to be able to affect that logic, and then you can output that to the subsequent nodes that come to this cumulative master effect at the end. So this Fresnel effect has this sort of outer rim, and this can be affected by the power of it, and also these coordinates here and the normals, etc. So I can just plug the output of that into my emission, like so, and it updates the master node and looks beautiful. So let's now add a color. Let's do that. So again, there's a color node to add with the color picker. What color should we make it? Audience participation.
Red.
Who said red? Red's my favorite color. I'm biased. Let's go with that. Let's have red. For the moment, I'm just going to plug that into the albedo, like why not? I'm going to show you other bits and pieces in a minute, but just to sort of show how we can apply this. So I'm going to save the asset. We need to do that before it can be used at all. I'm just going to dock this down here. Oops, no, I'm not. That'll do for the moment. There we go. And then, with the barrel selected, I'm going to change this from its standard shader to this one that we created, which is the rim light shader. And you can see here it's applied straight away. It's not really what we're going for. It doesn't look great, but we can change that. So the first thing I think I'll do is I'll create a texture. So there's lots of different sort of nodes to affect textures, and you can add normal maps and all that kind of good stuff that you would expect. I'm just going to do this sample texture. Oh, wow, that is tiny. And I'm just going to select this barrel diffuse, like so. Just going to unthingy that. I like to work with it full screen, I must admit. And then I'm just going to plug this into the albedo now. If I save the asset, that will update in the scene view. And I'm going to add a multiply node. So the multiply node will, as you imagine, will multiply the effects of inputs together. And I was playing with Shader Graph last night, and I messaged one of my team members, and I was like, 2 nodes is not enough to multiply all this madness together. Like, how do I get more nodes? And there was a blog post released really recently that was about scripting your own nodes. And you can actually take the logic of existing nodes and extend them out. So Andy from my team actually made me my own node called Mercuri's multiply extension, and it's just got loads of nodes for me to plug things in. So that's good fun. So if there's any programmers in the room, you can go mad. So I'm going to plug in the color to the multiply, and also this Fresnel effect. So you can see, you know, as you would expect, that this multiplies the power of the Fresnel and also the color together, and then we can then plug that into the emission. And if you're OCD, you can arrange your graphs a little bit nicer than me. Mine's just like a spider web. No, spider webs are quite organized, aren't they? I don't know what this is like. And as I said, you can also add, oh my gosh, a normal map as well. So again, that's under, oops, texture. Let's add the barrel. Where's its normal map? That one. Okay. And then you have to actually select its type as normal for it actually to behave as a normal map in there. You can just plug that in to there. Beautiful. Save the asset. Coming along nicely. That's probably more of what we're after. And then, yeah, you can kind of just adjust these in the shader, save the asset, keep iterating, seeing how it goes. So there's lots of different nodes and good fun that you can have to build this up as you go. What's the other things that we could do? Maybe we could we get it to go over time, get the power to go over time? So if I have, say I want it to pulsate, maybe. Let's just see what happens. Let's experiment together. So on the time node, so we can do things over time to have effects work over time. If I have this sine wave, I can pop that into the power and have that pulsate. It's going a bit crazy. So again, there's so many nodes for so much different logic. I can clamp that maybe. So let's plug that into there. What could the minimum be? Ooh, see what happens. Let's make it go mental. And then I can just delete that one. And then maybe put that into the power. Will that work? Is that a success? That's crazy. But yeah, so you get the idea. So with shader graph, it's just super quick to be able to add and iterate, see it reflect in the editor straight away, and see if that's the effect that you're after. And if you want to get started with a shader graph, you can actually go to our public GitHub, and there's a shader example library. It's got all sorts of cool things in there. There's like lava effects, there's the hologram effects from here. There's, like you can see here in the scene, like this rippling effect, this conveyor belt effect. Like Andy Touch has made a library that is just completely, here is how to get started with shader graph, and it goes from simple, like what I've just done, up until that crazy effect that you saw on the door. And even if you kind of see a graph and you're kind of like, I don't know, what have I done? I don't know what's going on here. You can actually just like play around with that and take parts away, because it just all updates automatically, and so you can see which bits are affecting what. And I just think that's super powerful, and that's what I've enjoyed playing around with so much. So then you can see the master node updates with that lack of UV tiling. But yeah, so that's kind of like demo stuff. I think I've babbled a bit over time. But yeah, just in summary, so these are the things that I've spoken about today in Unity 2018-1. So ProBuilder, you can get from the package manager. You can whitebox, you can add detail to your level, but also has been used to create games in their own right. The round tripping tool between Autodesk and Unity, forgot the name of the product then, is on the asset store. You can download that for free, get it set up, super simple. If you like want a reminder, come and see me at the stand, I can show you all that good stuff. And then shader graph again, available now and through the package manager too. And yeah, please do tweet out about your creations, because we're seeing some crazy stuff and it's really cool to see. So further resources then, so ProBuilder, all the tutorial videos from Procore and Unity are available on their website. And we also have lots of YouTube videos from like GDC as well. The shader graph library that I mentioned, the link is there. It's from our public GitHub. And also, please do follow Andy Touch on Twitter. He is always posting cool shader-related things. And then, yeah, you all know, Unity Learn, free, good stuff. But we actually have Unity training workshops now. So we actually have like certified Unity instructors teaching teams good stuff. So yeah, so thank you for having me, and I think we have time for questions unless I've babbled.
Actually, we had plenty of time, so
do we?
you shouldn't be stressed
Did I babble super quick?
So we encourage you to ask questions.
Please ask me questions.
Great, thanks for a fantastic lecture.
Oh, good, thank you.
My first question is, in new Unity, I mean 2018 and 0.1, a lot of cool things was added, but one was removed. I mean, support of substances. Do you know why? Should we stop using it, or?
It's back again, actually.
It's back again?
Yes, sorry.
I didn't even know.
I mean, for a short, for a short period of time, substances were not supported, and you got this back, the response from the in the console that substances are not imported, but actually with this release, I used it back again.
So the latest release, yes, at the end of April?
Yes, okay. And there was a lot of talk on the forum. People were asking why these substances is not supported, and basically the team's response was that it's temporarily out of work, but it's going to be back again with the 18 release. So sorry.
Thank you. I missed that.
Okay, so I have one more question, because I'm not sure. I mean, with ProBuilder, situation was like there was a fantastic package that basically became part of Unity, what is cool. And with this shader graph tools, there also were packages like Shader Forge and I try to understand. I mean, this what you have shown looks totally cool and looks totally like Shader Forge. So my question is it Shader Forge, which magically became free, by the way, or is it better or different than Shader Forge? Because Shader Forge has some drawbacks, like it was basically quite slow. Is it faster?
I mean, we did our research, and the developer of Shader Forge, we worked with them a lot. So I think it's kind of not discounting one or the other. It's kind of just, I guess we did what Unity usually do. We listened to the community, we listened to the developers that were putting awesome stuff out on the asset store, and we just tried to make the best of all those. So Shader Graph is definitely a culmination of everything that was out there. What's it doing best? How can we make it better? And it's kind of, it's in continuous sort of update as well. It's not like Shader Graph is out in 2018-1 and that's it. Like, the team are still working on feedback from the community and iterations and improvements. But I find it super quick. I've like messed around with loads of complex nodes everywhere. Like, I'm totally messy, and it's always been super performant. Like, I've not had any issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, great
Hello.
talk, by the way, so
Thank
you
you
for that. One question regarding the shader tool in regard of the Shader Forge, because in Shader Forge, when we created quite complicated shaders, there was a problem that multiple passes stuck up, and then it was really horrible in terms of performance.
Right.
So how does it look like with this new tool for shaders?
I'll talk to Touch about that, because I've actually been talking to Andy Touch about that kind of stuff recently. So I'll ping him after this. I'll grab your email,
Great.
and I'll let you know about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I'll
no
reach
problem.
out.
Sorry, I can't answer it straight off the bat. But
Thanks.
Hi there.
hello.
So I noticed that in the packet manager, Shader Graphs is marked as preview. So is it now only for preview, for testing on, or can you build and make games using it right now?
That is my fault, because I'm using a previous beta. I started doing this presentation in the beta before the final release, so it's not. No, it's you can use it, and it's all good. Don't worry.
Great, yeah. Thank you.
That's my fault.
All right. My question is, which language do you use to write those custom nodes you mentioned? And did you see your friend scripting this multiple input, multiply node for you? Because it was something I was really, I mean, I didn't like it that much that.
Oh yes, we spoke
yeah, it
about
was
it
me.
yesterday.
Yeah, it was
we
me.
spoke
Yeah, it
about
was
it
me.
yesterday.
It was me. So I'm now interested in making my own custom nodes, and I want to know more.
Okay. So the custom node bit of things is actually a blog post, which I'll link you to. And so the language that is used, so everything with Shader Graph and everything with the scriptable render pipelines is all C#.
Right.
So it's all C#. There's still not any C++ stuff. It's just the overhooking API into that. But yeah, C#. But yeah, there's a blog post out now about creating your own nodes. And so the example that's in the blog post is simpler than the multiple nodes one, but you can actually take the logic from that and apply it to add more to your nodes anyway. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay! I'm glad you came back and asked that.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. I'm really happy I got to attend to your talk. My question, you mentioned that on GitHub there were sample shaders and so forth. Can you point me in the right direction?
Yeah, I can show you. Let's do it. is this, I'm going to pull up Google and it's just going to be my search history of Final Fantasy 15 dungeons.
Oh, this is it.
Doo-ba-doo. Yeah, let's have a little look. Here it is. So it's our public repo, and these are all the, let me just scroll that up a bit actually. Yeah. Oh, it's all here. So, oh my gosh, I can't use this mouse, I'm so sorry everybody. So yeah, so as you said here, there's the coloured rim, there's the text, there's the scrolling texture. The snow effect is really nice, and it uses the, there's a node for like clamped normals. So whichever way you sort of the mesh moves, it always looks like it's coated in snow, and that looks super cool. And then there's like the rush effect. And so the project has these AngryBot 2 guy in it, and then all of these separate graphs that you can take and mess around with.
That's pure gold. Thank you very much.
And this is all Andy Touch. He's like, he's a guru. I think he's part shader graph.
The last call, please.
To ask about the tool that you can paint over materials on the top of models. Mm-hmm. Is it a polybrush? Or?
Yeah. So ProBuilder has sort of vertex colouring. So you can just sort of colour for, I know some studios have used it for like creative intent. So here's an exit and here's the blue team's area. But then polybrush has sculpting, painting, and also like a scatter brush. So you can like scatter little bits of geometry. So polybrush at the moment isn't in package manager, it's on the asset store, but it's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
you can use it also in a terrain tool, or is it a separate tool?
I've never used it on the terrain tool, okay. But I don't see why.
Why not?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
This will be the last chance to ask the question. All right, thank you very much. So as we heard, the feedback was great. If you want to rate our lectures, which we encourage you to do, please go to our mobile app and do it. It's a great feedback for us and for people standing here in front of you. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you for having me. And